All right, everyone. In order to start this section today on how you handle with logic functions, we need to first talk about what the logical operators are within Matlab. So we've went through this once already in Excel, but now in Matlab, and so the story remains the same. You can, in a logical function or logic operator, you are trying to find something is true or false through a statement. Now that true or false will either return a 1 if it's true or 0 is false. Matlab does the exact same thing. Now, the nice thing is most of the things are the same as you saw in Excel. So, for example, if I want to say 5 is less than 6 as an operator, if it's true, it returns a 1. If it's false, 5 is less than 4, it returns a 0. That works great. You could say the same thing for is less than or equal to, and then you have 1. If this didn't have the equal to, it'd be 0. So less than or equal to is the same. If another operators that are the same is going to be 5 is greater than 4. That's the same. 5 is greater than or equal to 4. That's the same. Where things change are the equal and not equal to. Now you can't just say 5 is equal to 4 because that actually gives you an error, and this error's expression is equal to. This is an assignment operator, remember again. What it's trying to do is say 4 is you're gonna try to define as 5 as 4. It doesn't know that because you can't do that with a variable, so we'll say CLC. If I was to say A is equal to 5 and B is equal to 4, and then I said A is less than B, you get the right answer again as you would before, but you get into major trouble if you say A is equal to B, because what you just did then is just rewrote what A is, and you didn't do an logical operator. So the way Matlab can use a logical operator for equals to is simply a double equal sign. So if I say A is double equals B, you'll get the answer that you want, right? Because A is 4, B is 4, so the answer is true. If I say B is equal to 3, and then I say A double equals B, you're going to get the answer of 0. Great, that works out really well. I'll clear that out. Now finally, in Excel, if we said not equal to, we used the less than greater than sign in that regard. In Matlab, not equals is actually tilde equals. And so in this case, if I said A is not equal to B, that's true. Or 4 is not equal to 3, that's equal to true. And so forth and so forth and so forth. So you can use those logical operators as appropriate. Now, one other thing to note is this can be done for arrays as well. So if I say A is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, and we get a vector or an array of data, and I said A is less than or equal to 3, it will return the value for all the positions that holds true in. So if A is less than or equal to 1, it goes point for point, and it says, okay, this is less than 1, less than 3, this is less than or equal to 3, this is less equal to 3, this isn't. So you get 1, 1, 1, 0. And that just gives you a chance to actually compare and look at a lot of logical operators all at once in Matlab. One other note to make is you can do multiple comparisons. You aren't just limited to saying one value or another, and that's it. I can, just like in Excel, use and, or, and so forth, and, not, or, and XOR. You can do all of these commands again in Matlab. In this case, the and is simply an ampersand, and not is a tilde. Like, you obviously not equals kind of makes sense, right? So what do I mean by this? If I was to say, for example, 4 is equal to 5 and 5 is equal to 5, oops, I gotta fix this. It's going to only return one value of 0 or 1 based on both of these things being true. Since 4 is not equal to 5, it returns 0. If I said 4 is equal to 4 and 5 is equal to 5, you get a 1. If I did a similar thing with the pipe command, this, it varies on the keyboard where this can be located at, but you just have the vertical up and down. That's an OR option, so it'll return 1 as long as one of the elements is true. So in this case here, 4 or 7 is that, and you get the answer. And you can sequence these together and link them up. I believe how you would like. I think if you did this, I don't remember if you need a parentheses or not. Let me just test this. Oh, good. So you can see here that that it's going to handle this in the order of events that it's going to return. So in this case here, it's going to look at these two together. If I said this was 4, it returns a true. So effectively, this is kind of like saying, in this case, 4 is equal to 7, or both of these have to be true. So just realize it's going to stack on top of each other in that fashion. It's also helpful to put parentheses to nest these if you so need to. All right, so the final thing I want to talk about is that the other functions you can do, like the AND, it has an AND function, is ampersand, pipe is OR. You could also use OR function where you can actually have compare two codes, and here 2 expressions, and as long as one of those is true, it returns true. Typically the pipe is more convenient, but you can do that. But these functions, there is one other example one that can be useful oftentimes, is the XOR, or the exclusive OR. It returns true if and only if one of the comparisons are true. So in this case, if I say 4 is equal to 4 and then 5 is equal to 4, it will return a true. If I say 5 is equal to 5, it returns a false. And if I say, and if both are false, it returns a false. So it's a case where you can know if only one of the things are true in that statement, then you can return that value and get information from that. So that's just a very useful other comparison comparator that exists in Matlab. Now the question is, what can you do with these? Well, that's going to be the subject for the next video. But there are, but in the interest of precursors, what I will say is they're very useful for making choices within your code to let Matlab do things that you want to have happen or not want to have happen based on conditions that are being inputted. And also, it's very useful for it to return information from an array that you want to know. So we'll talk about that, and that's most commonly used with the find command or if or do while loops. So we will talk about those in the coming videos. So thanks a lot, and see you then.